Dark Regulars got a major boost with the introduction of King of Mask Dentarian. So let's take a look today how we can improve the current Dark Regulars build.
Stand up! Vanguard!
Hey card fighters, welcome back to another deck profile on the channel, and today we're gonna cover none other than Dark Regulars. One of the clans that with their initial run didn't perform up to snuff with the other clans, just like Aquaforce and Nova Grappler. So let's see how they fare with the upgraded edition with all the new cards coming into the format with Vilis the Leader. And Dark Regulars got some interesting new cards as well as their new VR that fixes a lot of issues, but does it fix everything? Well, let's take a look in this deck profile as we're going to cover all those different topics. We're going to cover all the new strategies, playability, new combos, and all this good stuff that you're familiar with these deck profiles. So if you're only interested in certain sections, you know where to go to. And without any further ado, let's jump right into this list. For this Dark Regulars deck list, we run a total of 9 grade 3s, 12 grade 2s, 12 grade 1s, and 17 grade 0s. Starting off our grade 3 lineup, we run a total of 4 copies of King of Mask Dentarian. This is our main boss monster and a card that we want to sit on as first right target, as it does basically everything. It has a good defensive options, offensive tools, as well as some soul charging playability, and it synergizes well with some rearguard retirement action. For the supporting grade 3, we run a total of 3 copies of No Life King Death Anchor. This is our biggest and strongest offensive card, as it allows us to have multiple Vanguard attacks, as well as some OTK plays with our other tech cards in our grade 3 lineup. These tech cards are 1 copy of Demon Eater, while we all are familiar with the whole No Life King Demon Eater combo that allows us to have a guard restrict with a lot of power and a crit. And we also run the new card, 1 copy of Master of Fifth Element. This can have some insane OTK playability with all kinds of cards, as it allows us to have 3 Vanguard attacks as well as some extra rearguard attacks for a final push in scenarios where we should have lost the game. For a grade 2 lineup, we run 4 copies of Dark Soul Conductor. This is a great card that allows us to have some extra defensive capabilities as well as some refilling of the deck, as deck out might be a little bit issue with the amount of excessive soul charging. We also run 3 copies of Flirtatious Succubus. This is a great card that allows us to retire some rearguards as well as a great synergy with Dentarian. We also run 3 copies of Blood Sacrifice Ruthven. Although we don't run Flawless Claws, this card allows us to put some key units back into the soul when we need to. This can be either a grade 2 for some extra defensive capabilities like Dark Soul Conductor, or it can be a grade 3 card that is now in the drop zone or might be in the damage zone, and we want to have that in the soul to have a good target for No Life King. So Blood Sacrifice Ruthven really ups our consistency of the deck with all these precise soul charging. And to round off our grade 2 lineup, we run 2 copies of Authority of Water, and this is basically a great card that synergizes with a lot of these cards that retire or attack the rearguard, as it allows us to counter charge whenever a rearguard is destroyed. And it doesn't matter which kind of way that is done. For our grade 1 lineup, we run 4 copies of Doreen the Thruster. We all know this card. It's basically our strongest card and the card that allows us to have some insane playability and insane combo potential. So there's a good reason to run this card at 4 copies. We also run 4 copies of Dimension Creeper. This is an insane card that allows us to not only have some good soul charging on demand, but at the same time, it's also a great beater, as seen this is a 30k attacker in a lot of scenarios. We also run 2 copies of Alluring Succubus. This is another card that allows us to up our consistency of the deck, as we can now target our grade 3s and soul charging, as well as putting it into our hand to have the right target. So also a great card for that. And lastly, we round up our grade 1 lineup with Pathfinder of Wind at 2 copies. This might be a little bit odd pick, but this is a personal preferences, as I like these more risky cards as well as cards that have some insane combo potential, but you will see that in a couple of seconds. Now for our grade 0 lineup, we of course run the standard starter, as well as our trigger lineup. We run 4 heals, 6 crits, and 6 draws, making our deck total at 9 grade 3s, 12 grade 2s, 12 grade 1s, and 17 grade 0s. This Dark Regulars deck does have a couple of dangerous kill combos. The obvious one is the Dark King Sanctuary combo, as seen as we still run No Life King, Demon Eater, and Doreen the Thruster. Also, this combo is made a lot more consistent and dangerous thanks to the extra soul charge options and toolboxing of Alluring Succubus. We also have access to the Master of Fifth Element option. However, this isn't the most dangerous thing this deck can dish out, as the Dark King Sanctuary combo is mainly focused against Protect and Perfect Guard heavy games. In any other game, you might want to focus on a new combo that I like to call Mask of Deception. For this combo, we need to have Dantarian as our vanguard with a Doreen the Thruster behind him and a Pathfinder of Wind on the field. When we attack with the vanguard, we have a base power of 18k. If our opponent has no perfect guard and decided to guard for a total of 43k to make it a no pass, we can break through his shield value with only one trigger. How, you ask? Well, let me demonstrate. If we get a crit trigger, we give the power to the vanguard, in which the column will become 28k. Now, if we use Pathfinder's skill, we put that trigger towards the soul and soul charge 2 extra cards. Now Doreen will get plus 15k, which in turn will make the column 43k. And there you broke through a no pass with only one trigger. Does it end here? Well, no, because if one of those two soul charge cards were a grade 2 or 3, you can activate Dantarian's skill to give 3 rearguards another 5k, which can be given to Doreen, which in turn will make the attack 48k or potentially 53k. So we turn an 18k attack into a 53k with one trigger. And we still have our second check, which can make the attack potentially 88k if we soul charge another 2 grade 2s and 3s. Also mind you, this can be comboed with No Life King. So this can be your second vanguard attack, which also means this attack has a natural extra crit. Another combo you can perform with this deck is an infinite stall loop in endgame scenarios. This deck can go fast through its deck with all the extra soldiers options, but when you can create the perfect situation, you can play forever without decking out. This is all thanks to Dark Soul Conductor. What you want to create is that the last 4 cards in your deck are Dark Soul Conductors. This means that each turn you will draw 1, drive check 2 and leave 1 in deck. Then during your opponent's turn you guard with the 3 Soul Conductors and we're back to square 1. You can achieve this scenario even more easier with Dantarian, as you can guard with them from the soul. This is also the main reason why we run Ruthven. But you must know this combo can be easily countered by your opponent. They just don't have to attack you for a turn. But you can make all kinds of different stall tactics with these cards, and I highly recommend you trying these cards out in different ways and try to find the right way to trick your opponent in a false sense of safety. Resources in this deck are quite easy to sustain. Most cases you're building up soul with multiple skills and you're using skills either to forward your advantage with cards like Alluring Succubus and Dimension Creeper, or to pressure your opponent with powerful skills like No Life King, Demon Eater and Flirtatious Succubus. But with Authority of Water, we have enough access to countercharge option to sustain the pressure. The main strategy of this deck is to build up soul in the early game to pressure in the mid-late game. However, with the new cards like Dimension Creeper, Pathfinder of Wind and Alluring Succubus, this can be done a lot faster and more efficient. Dantarian is a great card to build up soul, providing some extra protection as well as some overall power pressure. No Life King is a great swing card to pressure for big damage. Try to use these cards in the right situations. If you don't want to go to No Life King into a Demon Eater because your opponent is still at low damage, but you want to pressure them a bit, you can write into No Life King and then rewrite back into Dantarian. This way you have the extra Vanguard attack, but you end up with a Dantarian to have the extra defensive option ready during your opponent's next turn. No Life King into Master of 5th Element is also a very powerful tool, as this combo can secure you victories in matches you would actually lose, especially if you combo them with 1 or 2 Doreens. Ruthven is a great card to not only soul charge from the drop zone, this way you save your deck size a bit, but he also fixes missing cards from your soul. Maybe that key grade 3 for No Life King or Dimension Creeper, or cards like Dimension Creeper, Dark Soul Conductor or Flirtatious Succubus. Also putting a grade 2 into the soul, you can activate Dantarian's skill to put some extra power onto the field. Last thing I want to highlight are all the Dantarian interactions. We already saw the Mask of Deception combo and now the Ruthven interaction. We also have the Flirtatious Succubus. By using Flirtatious Succubus, we not only put a grade 2 into our soul, but we retire a rearguard, which will activate 2 of Dantarian's skills. We can give 3 rearguards plus 5k and soul charge 2 cards. If those 2 cards happen to be also high graded units, that will then translate to even more power on the field. So try to plan ahead. This new Dark Irregulars deck is really combo heavy and can potentially chain like crazy. There are a lot of different ways you can build this deck for Dark Irregulars, but for this part I will focus on Dantarian playstyles, as No Life King will bring a whole nother story to the table. For Great Freeze, you can look into Death Demonic Duke Bale, as this one works extremely well with Dantarian. It has an interaction with all his skills, even better than Flirtatious Succubus. Terrifying Fist is also an RNG option as a rearguard. It can generate a lot of free power if you soul charge a high graded unit. For grade 2s, you can look into anything that can soul charge or retire rearguard. A card like Gwyn the Ripper is a great option, and paired off with Authority of Water, it's even a free card. Blue Dust is also a great option if it attacks a rearguard. Not only did you retire a rearguard, you also soul charge a lot of cards. Together with Dantarian, that's a +5 on soul. If you pair that off with Doreen, that's a +25 and potentially +75k extra on the field through Dantarian. Grade 1s is a bit more diverse. You can go for more Pathfinders or more Alluring Succubuses, depending on which playstyle you want to focus on more. But cards like Direful Noise and Frogcollar Claws aren't bad choices as well. For triggers, you can go full 8 crit, but I personally want a bit more draw because some cards can't be fetched from the soul, so I want to have more chances of drawing them. This new Dark Irregulars deck is a lot more versatile than the previous No Life King deck. It got a lot more tools and cards to boost its consistency and combo potential. We have seen that this deck can generate insane power out of nowhere, and most importantly, that can happen after your opponent has guarded. So whenever you're facing this deck, never feel safe behind a wall that's not a perfect guard. And that covers everything for Dark Irregulars. As you've seen, there are a lot of new interesting combos and tactics you can perform with the help of Dantarian, as well as some more consistent options with the help of the new grade 1s and the new grade 2s. Overall, it's looking really interesting, and it is a lot more easier and a lot more faster and a lot more consistent than the original build. So with any Dark Irregular players out there and fans of the clan, eat your heart out, as there are a lot of new better plays that you can make and a lot better matchups to do. But it's up to you guys to decide if this deck profile and if Dark Irregulars in general is performing a lot better and it's now maybe more consistent and more viable to play at a meta competitive level. But that doesn't leave everything for Dark Irregulars on the channel in terms of deck profiles, as tomorrow I have a very special deck profile concerning Dark Irregulars that might be very interesting for some of you players out there. So if you're interested in that, why not subscribe to the channel and hitting the bell button to be updated, as there is a lot more Vanguard content coming your way, and especially Dark Irregulars. But as always guys, I'm Mr. Time Leap, and I see you guys in the next one.